900-mile trek to Santa Fe, a 2,000-mile journey to Oregon. What got them started? Who said they could do it? In 1847, Missouri Senator Thomas Hart Benton spoke for many when he said, "As you know, I have consistently supported the western expansion of these United States. It is our natural destiny to occupy the entire continent and spread the benefits of our democratic institution all the way to the Pacific." Boston, New York, Philadelphia, Baltimore, Williamsburg, Charleston, Savannah. To those who settled the East Coast, and that's where most people settled, west meant anywhere west of the Appalachian Mountains. For nearly 100 years, west was sitting right at their elbow. But for most, it was imagined to be a vast wilderness, full of wild rivers, tall mountains, and inhabited by Indians. Daniel Boone didn't see it that way. He wanted more elbow room, and he wanted to see what was on the other side of the hill. In 1775, he cut a wide trail through the Appalachian Mountains, through the Cumberland Gap. The people who built the Erie Canal didn't see it that way. A ditch between the Hudson River and Lake Erie would mean an unrestrained waterway into the center of the continent. The Cumberland Gap, the Erie Canal. For those living on the East Coast, west was getting farther away. In 1803, Napoleon, Emperor of France, sold 800,000 square miles of land to the United States, the Louisiana Purchase. For $15 million, for 3 cents an acre, President Thomas Jefferson had doubled the size of the United States. West was now west of the Mississippi. To find out what he had bought, Jefferson sent Meriwether Lewis and William Clark to explore it. They followed the Missouri River to the Rocky Mountains, then journeyed west to the land of Oregon. Jefferson also sent Zebulon Pike to explore it. Pike headed southwest into Spanish territory. But Spain did not welcome outsiders. Pike was arrested and jailed for trespassing. In 1821, Mexico rebelled and ended Spanish rule. In 1822, the first wagons from the east came to Santa Fe. Unlike Spain, Mexico welcomed outsiders. Before long, traders were coming down from Missouri and up from Mexico to buy and sell at Santa Fe. Mañana por la mañana. Axes, rifles, and nails from Missouri, blankets, jewelry, and furs from Mexico, all kinds of cloth and fancy lace from Missouri, mules from Mexico. Mules that would later become famous as Missouri mules. In Missouri, they came from frontier towns on or near the Missouri River. At first, Franklin, Arrow Rock, and Lexington. Later on, Independence and Westport. From the jumping off places, it took 2 months to get there. 15 miles a day, 900 miles. 2 months to get there, 2 months to get back. Back and forth across prairie and desert, back and forth through Indian territory, through the land of the Kansa, Osage, Pawnee, Kiowa, and Comanche. In 1825, the Osage Indians signed an agreement that allowed wagon trains to pass through their tribal land. Indians did not become a serious threat to trade and migration until much later, after treaties were broken and after white settlement threatened their way of life. During the war with Mexico, which began in 1846, the Santa Fe Trail became a military road. After the war, boundaries changed, and Santa Fe ended up on the United States side of the map. Beyond the Appalachians, beyond the Mississippi, west had now reached the Rocky Mountains. In the 1860s, after the Civil War, railroads began building west to the Pacific Ocean. The Union Pacific, the Kansas Pacific, the Atchison, Topeka, and Santa Fe. In Kansas, as the tracks got longer, the Santa Fe Trail got shorter. In 1880, the Santa Fe reached Santa Fe. Wagons on dirt could not compete with trains on tracks. And so the great wagon caravans to Santa Fe rolled their way into history. The Santa Fe Trail was two-way, a trail of trade and commerce. The Oregon Trail, however, was different. It was one-way. Farmers were going to take advantage of cheap land. Missionaries were going to spread the gospel. Others were going just to get a new start in a new place. At first, the two trails shared jumping-off places. In the 1840s, Independence was the major hub. 26 blacksmith shops clanged with anvil and hammer. Animals and provisions of all kinds were available. Later on, as steamboats went farther upriver, other towns became points of departure. Weston, St. Joseph, and Council Bluffs, Iowa. For most immigrants, the first part of their journey began on a boat. Steamboats down the Ohio. Steamboats up and down the Mississippi. Up and down the Mississippi to St. Louis, the gateway to the west. From St. Louis up the Missouri to the overland trails. 2,000 miles of dirt and mud. 15 to 20 miles a day. 5 months to Oregon. Timing was critical. When the grass turned green and measured 4 inches, it was time to hit the trail. A delay in leaving, combined with an early snow in the Blue Mountains of Oregon, could mean disaster. Wagons followed the trails blazed by explorers and trappers, the fabled mountain men of the West. Wagons followed the trails, and the trails followed the rivers, the Blue to the Platte. 500 miles along the Platte to the Sweetwater. The Sweetwater to the Continental Divide and South Pass. This broad 20-mile saddle in the Rocky Mountains was so wide that it didn't seem like a mountain pass at all. After crossing the divide, they followed the Big Sandy to the Valley of the Green. The Valley of the Green to the Valley of the Bear. The Bear to the Snake to the Columbia, and the Columbia to the valley of the Willamette in Oregon. Along the way, emigrants recorded in their diaries unusual or distinctive landmarks: Courthouse Rock and Jail Rock, Chimney Rock, Scotts Bluff, Register Cliff, Independence Rock, Devil's Gate, Split Rock, Soda Springs, Thousand Springs, Beacon Rock, and Mount Hood in Oregon. They were also struck by the changing landscape: rolling prairies bursting with flowers, the Laramie Mountains, which anxious travelers mistook for the Rockies, rock and desert, the barren and desolate land near the western end. The toughest going was at the western end. Alkali dust stung the eyes. Alkali in the ground poisoned the water. Dry air shrunk wagon wheels, and without warning, the rims rolled off. Wagon tongues snapped. Oxen and mules dropped in their tracks. To make the load lighter, furniture was discarded. Heirlooms that had crossed the Alleghenies and Appalachians did not survive the Oregon Trail. For 5 months, they had pushed and pulled wagons across rivers, through deserts, and over mountains. They endured burning sun and the drenching rain, and they endured the tensions of close living quarters. They saw friends and family fall beneath an iron-rimmed wheel or die from the sudden blow of cholera. Yet of the more than 250,000 men, women, and children who began the long journey to Oregon, over 90% made it. Not all immigrants, of course, went to Oregon. Some saw greener pastures in California. In 1848, a discovery at Sutter's Mill turned green pastures into gold. Gold on the American River. Gold in California. Gold in America. People came from everywhere. Some sailed around the tip of South America. Some took a shortcut across the Isthmus of Panama. But most followed the Oregon Trail to one of the California turnoffs. Thousands came seeking a fast fortune, but most left with their pockets empty. Yet for California, 100 years of ordinary growth were squeezed into 10. Not all immigrants, of course, went to California. Thousands of Latter-day Saints, the Mormons, traveled along the Oregon Trail to a new homeland in the valley of the Great Salt Lake. In 1847, their leader, Brigham Young, announced that this was the place, and here they stayed. And here they made the dry desert bloom like a rose. In 1869, the Central Pacific shook hands with the Union Pacific. The first transcontinental, a railroad from coast to coast. The trails were going. By the turn of the century, 4 more railroads had reached the Pacific Ocean, and the trails were gone. And so, along with railroads, along with Mormons and missionaries, along with pioneers, gold seekers, and traders, that elusive West, which was once close to the Atlantic, had come to the Pacific. West. 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 Step by step, mile by mile, it had crossed the continent, from sea to shining sea.